I was gonna upload this video earlier, but then I spent 21 straight hours playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 because I thought I was right at the end and I wanted to finish it. Turns out, wasn't as close as I thought. But I did finish it and I'm here now, and I'm making another video about Eric Dubay. His first video I want to look at isn't even about conspiracy theories, it's about veganism.
When pressed on the question of why the world must have such a predatory food chain of life feeding upon life, both theists and atheists alike tend to claim that the reason is
Probably because it's food and they're hungry.
Predators serve the function of regulating the numbers of their prey, preventing them from becoming overpopulated.
This whole video is based on that premise, that veganism is morally correct because, according to articles he read, predators don't actually regulate prey. Which, I mean, I don't have the scientific knowledge to dispute, but it's not really relevant since, like, animals are food and people eat food. That's why animals eat other animals, is because they're edible. But that's not the crazy part about this video. The crazy part is he uses that, like, bland vegan argument as an argument for why Gnosticism has to be true.
Without the excuse of predators regulating prey, the very existence of this endless, violent food chain calls into question the creator's purpose for such a system. The only creation stories I have ever heard that answer this question are those coming from Gnostic thought, where the creator of this realm is not seen as wholly loving or benevolent, and is instead a psychopathic entity himself who revels in and is nourished by the violence.
That's a pretty big leap to take, guy. That is actually a very good question that I've never thought about. What is the point of predators? Because it's true. I don't know, man. Maybe have you ever considered that predators don't exist to serve you? Not everything in the world exists to serve you, and predators are just hungry. That's the point of predators. Thank you for asking out loud what I ask in private. Who are you asking in private? And it's a good analogy for how the ruling class uses this and justifies itself with this claim. I have never heard anyone justify the so-called ruling class with this claim. Yeah, the reason I have to be in charge is so that I can, like, devour one of you every once in a while so that you don't grow too populous. Eric, thank you again and again. When I first became vegan over 12 years ago, I started questioning the creator, wondering why it would create carnivorous. It made no sense to me then, but now it's pretty obvious. Thank you so much for all your amazing work. This video is so well done and powerful from start to finish. This is why most science is just that, made up BS. I remember learning about this in school, and now I know why most subjects made no sense to me. A lot of us had our empathy and intellect driven out of us by the education system. Is it possible that most subjects didn't make sense to you in school because you are an idiot?
Violent, sinister, stalking carnivorous predators like lions, tigers, bears, wolves, snakes, sharks, and crocodiles.
And Jews. Great job, guy. You're coming across real sensible. I think it's funny to say this when Jews are literally forbidden from eating certain kinds of meat. The New Testament does make it fairly clear that there is a malevolent constant having dominion over this world. Corinthians, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not. Ephesians, ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience. The you-know-whos exercise their infiltration into Christianity, and especially into Catholicism, to cover up those teachings. A further influence of the infiltrators has been to manipulate followers of Christianity to see the Old Testament and the New Testament as being interchangeable at one's leisure. It seems to me that this is their efforts, or rather the effort of the God of this world that operates through their consciousness, to pull humanity back to the ways of the Old Testament, and then further down the vertical scale, which is violence, killing, animal sacrifice, and ultimately toward human sacrifice/torture, all of which is like the God of this this world feeding off the suffering. But above it all, I do believe there is a benevolent God. Why? Look at the old world architectures. They're beyond human capability and divinely stylish. The old world music, aka classical music, laughter, comedy, beauty, style, and the pure enjoyment of selflessness and charity, etc. When we focus on those things, we've been gifted by, I think, the benevolent God. Then the God of this world is not getting the feed that it needs. So if I'm understanding correctly, this guy thinks that the Jews of the Old Testament worshipped an evil God because he commanded them to do all the killing and the animal sacrifice and whatnot. But then the new God is good. The God of the New Testament is good. But the Jews, those insidious devils that they are, want to bring us back to the ways of the Old Testament. You know what? Come to think of it, I actually do remember a Jew trying to bring us back to the ways of the Old Testament. Let me see if I can't find the quote here. "Do not think I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them." Could you imagine such evil? It might be off topic, but plants are living beings, just like animals. In other words, just as a carnivore hunting an herbivore might seem cruel at first glance, viewing an herbivore's hunting of plants as entirely peaceful is a bit... Anyway, I don't think I can really agree with vegetarianism if it's driven solely by the contempt for eating meat. What do you mean you can't agree with vegetarianism if it's driven solely by the contempt for eating meat? What else would it be driven by? What other motive could you possibly have for it? Eric has a response to this. He says, "Plants don't have a central nervous system or a brain to feel pain. They don't have mouths that scream, feet to run away, eyes to cry, hearts that bleed, or families that grieve their loss like animals do. If I gave you a knife and put you in a room with a carrot and a cow, you cannot tell me with a straight face that killing the cow is the same as cutting up the carrot." Sorry if it's too quiet. I was trying to do an Eric Dubé impression. Anyway, well, first things first, a carrot is not a plant. A carrot is a vegetable, which is it's a root vegetable. It would be like if you gave someone a cow's hoof and said, cut that up. But then also, Eric, are you saying that killing something is only wrong because it makes you feel bad? Like if animals didn't have eyes, if they were just balls of meat, would you kill one? I would step on him. I've always said, God, if he, she, it exists, is a monster. Last being I would worship. You hear this kind of thing from Reddit atheists all the time, and it's like, if there's an all-powerful being, I'm not even necessarily saying you have to believe in one, but if there was one, who are you to determine morality compared to that? If something is the creator of the very concepts of right and wrong, it gets to decide what goes in those categories. Cool, man. You're not gonna convince me to be vegan. Veganism is a scourge upon our world. I don't have anything to say about this one. I like this one. The next video I want to look at is a conspiracy theory video, though. It's Flat Earth. It's classic. Back to basics. I mean, this shit's been around for like 1,000,000 years. I mean, it's really only been around for like 16 years, but you know. In this video, Eric Dubé basically just says the Earth is flat and you can't prove otherwise. And if you can prove otherwise, there's no way to be sure about it, right? I mean, the round Earth globe theory is full of holes. I can't bring them up right now because like, I don't have time. But believe me, if I was arguing with a brick wall over the shape of the Earth, I would win. He does this thing in these videos a lot where he detests the supposed use of insults coming from globe believers.
The average globe believers have continued to disappoint me with their constant unintelligent insults, snarky sarcasm, haughty hubris, errant assumptions, logical fallacies, lack of common sense, and closed-minded conclusions.
Like, he'll complain about how they say flat Earth is stupid, like the title of the video. But then he'll have memes on screen where it's like this slack-jawed, drooling moron, and it's like, globe believers. Can you believe these moron, idiot, fucking stupid bitch globe believers? Not like me. I'm just so tired of their abuse and insults. I just can't. It's really funny to me. These people can't figure out why people think they're dumb. They'll come to you with like this ridiculous, like, imaginary argument that's full of holes and comes exclusively from either a misunderstanding or a just lack of understanding. And they'll explain it to you, and they'll be like scratching their head, wondering why aren't you believing this? Why do you think I'm an idiot? It must be because you're too indoctrinated. It can't be because I sound like a moron. Great video. You're addressing the most common stereotype and knee-jerk reaction surrounding flat Earth and people who open their minds to the possibility. The guy who got me interested in conspiracy theories originally thinks flat Earth was a psyop created by the CIA intentionally to make all conspiracy theories look stupid. He won't entertain any evidence beyond this absolute foregone conclusion, which he thinks he knows to be true beyond any possibility of doubt. It's kind of sad. He was a good friend, but he can't get beyond his own prejudice against it. He thinks he's debunked it. I'm saying nothing in reality can truly be debunked because there's always room for doubt as to whether this reality we know and trust is even real. That's the first conspiracy theory, going back to Plato's Republic, and represented in the Matrix. I guess my former friend forgot the implications of the Matrix also forces you to question and doubt the shape of the Earth. If reality is a holographic projection, a binary-coded computer program in which we have our apparent physicality as a mere user interface in an open-world game, then any certainty about anything, including the shape of the Earth, is ludicrous. Unfortunately, this former friend of mine was in the military, and he's older than me, and thinks he's wiser by default, which makes him blind to any wisdom from his inferiors like myself. Well, there's a lot to talk about. I love how he bemoans the oppression he faces at the hands of globe earthers while also kind of implying that he broke off a friendship because someone wasn't a flat earther. But then also, if there's no way to trust anything and literally anything could be true, you could be in a matrix right now, then what's the point in believing anything? What's the point in doing anything? And I mean, at that point, like, it's real enough, right? There's something that is believable. If you're not even sure you're in the room you're in right now, maybe your opinion on science and history shouldn't be taken into account. It's an uphill climb. As free-thinking adults, we should be able to discuss cosmology without ad hominem attacks or whatever. You know, ultimately, whatever you or I say won't change the shape of the Earth we live on. There are two steps. Many, many more people know space travel to be a fraud, but think the Earth is a ball. That's step one. Step two is to think about the subject again. Then you will understand that we live on a plane of existence. Yes, step one is to convince the entire population that something with millions of witnesses that they saw with their own eyes didn't happen. And then step two, they believe us. It sucks that we get lumped in with the ignorant when we are the opposite of that. We know how real and practical physics operate. Thanks so much for your hard work. You give me a burst of energy. I'm on Twitter/X. I always post NASA mission photos with arrows showing the demarcation line in every moon photo. Lol. Again, thanks for the push. They know how real physics operate, but they can't quite figure out why stuff goes to the ground. It just goes there for some reason. There's no reason. It just goes there. Also, his profile picture is that Simpsons 9/11 thing. There's no nuclear power plants. Atomic theory is nonsense, proven beautifully by Master of Science/PhD theoretical physics Stephen A. Young in his book A Fool's Wisdom. Yeah, I bet all the power coming out of those plants is coming from somewhere else. What an excellent video once again. Allah sees well the good work done here. Alhamdulillah. You might want to take a look at the last Eric Dubé video we talked about. You might not be as big a fan of that one. The next Eric Dubé video I want to talk about is called Signs and Symbols Rule the World. And it's like an hour long. I didn't watch the whole thing. But I did watch long enough to hear him make this claim.
She is the pagan mother goddess of the Brotherhood, nearly always depicted dressed in robe, wearing a crown of thorns, and carrying the torch of illumination. She is symbolic of both the moon and dog star Sirius, which is why the English word for God is simply dog backwards.
So that's not true, as you might have guessed if you're one of the wiser ones out there. The English word God comes from the German word Gott, and in German, dog is not dog, but in fact Hund. So how do you make the connection there, Eric? The word dog came into existence after God was well established in English, or at least as Gott in German. So if anything, dogs were named after God. But as you can imagine, that's not true either. The origin of the word dog is unknown. You will hear this from people so often, where they'll conflate two words in English, but the origins of these words aren't from English. They're from other languages where those connections can't be made. So, like, they don't think that through. They don't think about where words come from, and they wonder why people think they're stupid. Anyway, other than that, there's also some excellent visual aid in the video, which is, I mean, this is just peak schizophrenia. I like this one because it's like, so you drew a Star of David on a circle, and you're like, see, if you draw a Star of David on the circle, there's a Star of David on that circle. In this one, he has his hand, and he's kind of like resting it. And so, I mean, if that's not evidence of Freemasonry, then I don't know what is. And as you can see in this damning piece of evidence, all these men have their hands in their coats. It couldn't possibly be because that's a comfortable place to put your hand while still looking dignified. It's probably because it's the Mason thing. And this one is another flawless piece of just etymological imagination, we'll call it. You could call it retardation, but we'll call it imagination. The $, most likely, comes from the peso, which was a common currency in the early colonies of the United States. He loves to brag about how much research he does, but he couldn't even stomach a 20-minute Rob Words video. I also love how this meme doesn't account for the one-stroke dollar. It just doesn't. But those are the pitfalls that you have when you just see a meme and instantly believe it, instead of just looking up a YouTube video to see if your theory holds any weight. Every Eric Dubé video should have millions of views, and probably does. I don't trust YouTube and their view count. So you think YouTube allows Eric Dubé's videos on their platform, but just pretends they don't have as many views as they do? And also even knows who Eric Dubé is. Elites use the word monad as the true name of God. The word monad comes from the Greek word monada, meaning the symbol of one, while ancient Greeks used the word proton or proton, or the word ena, meaning one, like the god Proteus, or the true name of the god in ancient Greece was En, like you pronounce enable. These proves that they still believe that God is one and had no sons. Also, the prophets who came before Christ warning for his coming were pseudo-prophets. To sum up, we can easily conclude that the ancient synagogues combined their power with Rome to erase from history both Greeks and Christianity. They used Islam and Muslim immigrants to occupy West by force and mix the races and cultures in order to control them easier. We see that nowadays. Jews! Rome, Persian aristocracy, and nobility of Troy rule the world, but not for long. Holy shit, that's like every conspiracy theory ever rolled up into one. I'm gonna need a second. First of all, who calls God monad? You can't just say the elites call God monad. Who? Also, Christians believe God is one. That's what the Trinity is. It's one God and three persons. Also, how does that bring us to the conclusion that the Jews merged with Rome to suppress Christianity? No one better. Your research is the best. Most of the things that I learned to refute Eric's points in this video, I learned today. The truth isn't that hard to figure out. What is hard to do is to be as asinine as Eric is to believe the things he believes. And the Polish white eagle. What about the Polish white eagle? If you're going to try to argue that a group of people is in control of the world, I wouldn't necessarily go for the Polish. They're not exactly known for being in positions of power. 3 classes of people. Those who see when shown, those who never see. I mean, that shit wouldn't be out of place on r/I'm 14 and this is deep. So the next video is called Flat Earthers Just Want to Feel Special, and it's supposed to debunk the accusation that flat earthers just want to feel special. But like most of Eric's videos, it's not really about that. He pretty much changes the topic as soon as the video starts. He changes the topic from flat earth to evolution and says that the only people who believe in evolution are atheists.
Since mainstream science has outright rejected any notion of a higher power or creative designer, accepting flat earth means rejecting atheism. So it is no surprise that the people claiming flat earthers just want to feel special are almost always atheists.
I guess implying that anyone who's religious at all can't believe in evolution and are also flat earthers. He then goes on to actually kind of talk about the topic of the video, where he says that no one would want to be a flat earther just to feel special because flat earthers are so persecuted.
If positive emotions like feeling special were truly what motivated flat earthers, we would be exhausted and quit after the first person we mentioned it to at the pub, or the first post we made about it on social media. Flat Earth is perhaps the most mocked, marginalized, and ridiculed topic in history, widely perceived as the most crackpot of all conspiracy theories. Literally nobody wants to become a flat earther. Nobody wants to be the laughingstock of the office, alienated from friends and family, ostracized from society, and labeled a crazy conspiracy kook. Far from making us feel special, speak with anyone about Flat Earth, and they are almost guaranteed to make you feel like shit.
I mean, we're so downtrodden. I mean, you globe earthers, you just hate us so much. We're so special, I guess. Yeah, he kind of accidentally makes the opposite point that he's trying to make, because he talks about how oppressed they are. And yeah, I know. I think that's part of it for you. If you're trying to dispel the narrative that you only do this to feel unique, and then you go into a diatribe about how uniquely oppressed you are, you're kind of telling on yourself. It has something to do with their ego. They will look you dead in the eye and tell you they can see curvature from a plane. You can see curvature from the ground. Just look into the horizon and you'll see eventually you stop seeing stuff. No, we are special. Okay, you're making my point for me. You do see yourselves as special. And I know that Eric agrees with that because he hearted that comment. I would feel more special if I could maintain my equilibrium on a spinning ball moving faster than a bullet through space. I mean, it is a little bit easier given that you, the ground, and all of the air around you and every object around you is moving at the same speed, so that it just makes it a little easier. I want to feel special. Yellow heart emoji, smiling emoji, laughing emoji. Eric, you hearted that comment as well, so you're kind of undermining the whole point of your video. It gets so tiresome. Yeah, I want to lose all my friends and be seen as a lunatic. I get comfort knowing that these people probably doesn't even have an inner monologue or logical reasoning capabilities. Their opinion isn't even their own. They're just paraphrasing the programming. Thanks for articulating it so well, bro. Great vid. Yeah, can you believe these fools don't even have their own opinions? They just believe whatever they read. Anyway, thanks for telling me what to believe, Eric. Love you. My son said it best. It's easier to come out as gay than as a flat earther. I think your son was trying to come out as gay. That's like saying that the little child who yelled out, "But the emperor has no clothes on," just wanted to feel special. Well, the difference between this situation and that story is that everyone saw the emperor had no clothes on and just didn't want to say anything about it. But in this case, everyone can see that the opposite of what you're saying is true, and you're still aghast that they won't believe you. Who mocks highlights his own fear. Always. Yeah, Eric Dubé never mocks. It's not like he calls globe proponents glib in his description of his video and in the beginning of his video.
Another phrase I repeatedly hear from glib globe proponents.
And has on screen several memes essentially calling round earthers fucking morons. He doesn't do that. He would never mock because he's just got the facts on his side. Anyway, that is the only amount of Eric Dubé and his comment section that's ethical to put in a video. So I think I'm done.